Are 5 tips for improving the sound quality of your videos. Now these are just 5 simple hacks that I've put together. It's by far not going to be a fix-all. This isn't a magic bullet for making everything better audio-wise, but it's 5 key things that I do all the time to up the audio quality of our video and ultimately up the perceived production quality of the videos we work on. And number 1 is going to be using a compressor on your dialogue. Now when you have slightly quieter voice recorded in your videos, it's tempting just to turn the volume up inside the track mixer or on the track itself to boost the volume of that recording. However, it's not the best way to actually get more perceived volume out of it. If you do just turn the volume up, you're going to turn up all the noise and unwanted sound that's recorded up as well, so it's going to make the recording sound more noisy. You can get around that by using a compressor to turn the volume up of your dialogue. So it's really easy to find in Premiere Pro. If you click on the track you want to affect, go to audio effects and you're going to be looking for single band compressor. Drag and drop that onto the clip you want affected, which is that first clip, and it'll appear in your effects controls for that clip. Now I've done a whole video on how to use compressors, but let's just skip through it really quickly. Essentially, anything that breaks the threshold that you set is going to be reduced in volume, and what's happening is the difference between the loudest part and the quietest part of your recording is being squashed, is being compressed. What you can then do with that compressed signal is turn it up further than you normally would because there's less spikes in the audio. The perceived improvement is that it sounds louder without sounding noisier. But as with everything in the audio or video world, the key to getting an effective result is to work subtly. Small changes sound far more natural than large changes. If you heavily compress something and turn it right up, it's still going to sound distorted. My second tip for improving the audio quality of your videos is to always use equalizers or EQ, especially on dialogue. Now an EQ or a parametric equalizer is an incredibly powerful tool for shaping the tone of your sound, especially for dialogue. And I would recommend that you use it on every recording that you make. And that's really easy to find in Premiere Pro. The parametric equalizer is a great one to use. You can just drag and drop that onto the clip you want affected, or do it in the track mixer as I've shown you in the full tutorial. Click on edit in the effect controls and you'll have something that you're very familiar looking at, which is a parametric equalizer. Now my top tips for equalizing voice especially is to work subtractively, as in taking away sound rather than adding it. It sounds far more natural and convincing. And also with voice is to always use a high pass filter. I'll show you that trick really quickly. Click on HP in the parametric equalizer, set it to 48 dB and just bring that up to around 70 Hertz. The reason being is that's going to cut out any unwanted bass noise and it's going to add a huge amount of clarity to your voice. It's a really great little trick that I use every time to make the voice sound a lot more clear. Okay, my next tip's a really big one, and if you only take away one thing from this video, make sure it's this, and it is using room tone. Now it's such a big topic that I'm going to make a whole tutorial about room tone all on its own, but it's actually quite a simple process once you know how. In essence, with room tone, we're going to record silence in the room that we're recording in. So this works particularly well when you're indoors in a studio set, perhaps your normal set that you record your talking head part of your videos in. Just once you finish your video, set up your camera or your audio recorder to record around 30 to 60 seconds of pure silence in that room. Now make sure auto gain is switched off when you do this, because you want a really quiet, silent sound without any additional noise. Now the great thing is, once you've got that silence recorded, you can take your room tone recording, drop it into your edit, put it underneath your dialogue. Now in essence, this is just a track of silence that's got the characteristics of the room we've recorded in. So when we've got hard cuts in audio like we have here between clip 1 and clip 2, that ordinarily there was silence between those clips, which is actually very noticeable when you listen to it. By adding room tone underneath, you're essentially just adding almost like a little bit of glue for the ear in between. It makes those cuts, those hard cuts, a lot less noticeable and a lot more convincing. It just generally gives the whole tone of your video a lot of a smoother sound and just a generally more professional feel. But as I said, room tone is such a big topic. I'm going to do a whole tutorial of it on its own. But the basics are there. Just record silence and place that underneath your cuts in your video. Now my fourth tip is to remove any hard cuts in the audio where possible. So as we can see in our edit here, we have 2 very hard cuts one coming out of clip 1 and one coming into clip 2 in the audio. The audio just stops dead, and if we zoom in, you can see that it literally goes from dialogue to silence, back to dialogue. Now we want to remove these hard edges because the ear picks up on them really quickly. Now it's very simple to do. You can just drag out after your clip is finished just the audio portion. If I click Alt and click on the audio file, drag it out slightly underneath our second cut, and the same for the second clip. If I click on that and drag it out, so it finishes much after the dialogue and starts much before it, and then I can just draw in a fade on both of those. Essentially what you're doing is every time you've got a hard cut in your dialogue, you're creating what is a J and an L cut transition. The reason you do this is that if there's a subtle fade rather than a hard cut, it's a lot harder for your ears to hear it. We're very good at hearing hard cuts when things stop and start really quickly. They're very noticeable. But if they fade slowly, they're really hard to perceive. And that smoothness that you're adding will just add a huge amount of production quality to your videos. My fifth and final tip is actually to do with when you're recording your audio in the first place. Turn off auto gain on your camera if you're recording the audio inside the camera. Now it's not always possible to do this. Sometimes you're in a run and gun situation, perhaps you're vlogging out and about and there's lots of incidental things happening, in which case, like having your camera in auto gain is actually really handy. But where you can, say in a situation like this, or in a studio environment, or just in your normal talking head part of your videos, set gain yourself in the manual mode of your camera. It's different in every camera, but it's always there as an option. The reason is that when there's quieter parts of your video, or even when there's silence, your camera's going to turn the volume right up because it thinks it needs to. When it turns the volume up of the input, you're going to get loads of noise on your recording. So by having it set to manual gain, the noise level's set to the lowest level it can be to get the best recording, and never turns itself up, so you don't get this increase of hiss on your recording. If it's an option for you, if you're in an environment in which you can have your controls set to manual, do it. Much like you would do with video, with manual focus and manual settings for your aperture, your shutter speed and your ISO. Do the same for your audio. You're always going to have a better result if you can control the volume yourself. Right, Pete.
I can't jump in the tunnel.
That'll get us copyright strike for certain. That's this video demonetized.
What did you think of that? As I said, that's our top 5 audio hacks that will improve your video. I like them, he likes them.
Definitely like them. Well, I wouldn't have said them if I didn't like them, would I? Someone commented the other day on Reddit saying, do you really like this technique? It looks like garbage. And I just want to say to that person, I'm not going to show you something I don't like, am I? Because that'd be a waste of my time. No one pays us to do this. It'd just be wasting my time.
I mean, you can pay us to do this, and you can do that by joining our Patreon, where you'll sign up to a small monthly fee, which allows us to maybe go out and get a coffee. In return, we give you some useful tutorials and a free music library, and can we?
Not a Game Boy.
And that's
not the Game Boy.
That's about it for now, but there'll probably be more. There'll definitely be more videos, and next up is Monday. So if you like camera equipment, if you like lenses, especially Canon, because we particularly like Canon,
fanboys,
then turn up on a Monday.
Oh, that was good.
That's about all I got for
So
that.
I sat down really just to moan about people commenting negatively.
Well, no, you can do something else. Maybe encourage them to write in the comments. Then there's the red button that's over there that they should hit.
Right, okay.
Hit that.
Yeah.
I don't know really why that benefits us. I guess it does in some way. There's a thumbs up and a thumbs down button.
Not sure what the thumbs down button's for.
Thumbs down is, you know, I hate life.
Oh.
Thumbs down.
Okay, so don't do that, obviously, because
love life.
Love life.
Thumbs up the video.
And leave a comment if you think that we should bring back the watermelon squad, because I think there's not enough watermelons in these videos. Obviously, we've got one huge one, but apart from that.
See you on Monday. Thanks for watching.